Okay, so this will be part 2 of basically a walkthrough of servicing the Hewlett-Packard 3478A. Yeah. So we already went through in the previous video, or maybe I'll join them together to one. Nah, the other one was more than an hour long. They'll be separate. We already went through removing the Riva capacitors. Those are always like impending doom to leave them in. So I was going to back up the cal data from this by GPIB. It's possible the instructions are out there. There's people on EEVlog who've been working on this, but I haven't found a thread that holds the end result with an actual functional instruction command to extract the cal data by GPIB or HPIB as the previous iteration. Basically the same thing, different name. So we're going to rely just on maintaining power during soldering operations. Now, I was going to like probe around to find what chip receives power. Then I realized I was making things more complicated than need be, and I just visually looked along the traces for where the battery prongs get soldered in to find where's the next connection that I can hook any kind of clip onto that's on positive and negative. And they're right nearby, just like you'd expect. So what I was doing is I have a hook on the negative, and I was probing around trying to find, as you can see on the screen there, as I go to positive, I was trying to find a pin on one of the chips that said 3 volts, indicating, hey, this is RAM, or this is where cal data is. But that's overcomplicating it. So, right there, this is, there are different hardware versions of this meter. So there's different iterations, like this is an older one with older type protection, but in this one, resistor Romeo 765, right there. See how it went to 3 volts? So you don't want to go to this side. I mean, even though it still says 3 volts, this is the direct, just trace-to-trace line. So right there is where we're going to hook in for positive for battery power. That's temporary battery power to maintain the cal data. And then over here for negative, we have, let's just get this out of the way. We have a little, I guess it's a tantalum capacitor, Charlie 508 right there. And you can just visually see it. That or this right here would also hook into it. And that is Charlie 762. So I'll hook this back onto the negative prong. And then right here on this part of Charlie 762, you can see a reading just went to pretty low noise and pretty consistent right on 4 nanovolts. That's basically dead short. We're just getting thermal noise there from contact and such, and whatever is getting hit into the lines from the lack of pure, RF shielding and such, and just electrostatics, just tiny, tiny amounts of that, or capacitance value from just my body, having the lead nearby. Not something to worry about, but yeah, you can hook right there. That will be negative, and this side of R765 will be positive. Now, to do that, you want to make sure to hook it in a way that you don't risk it coming apart. So these old 80s and 90s era. Let's, there's a specific part number to search for these. I have a couple different versions. I just got a random lot of them because I knew I'd want to stock these. 1980s and 1990s Hewlett-Packard made the best version of these little micro grabbers. So these are the ultra tiny ones. Made in the USA. And you can use DuPont wires. You might have to strip off the shielding. I think on the ones I have, yeah. So on these ones, the housing is a little bit too big to comfortably fit here on these ultra tiny ones. You can, basically what you do is you take off the housing and you put a little shrink wrap and then you can insert it. But we won't need the ultra tiny ones. This is for like hooking onto single legs of chips. It's a very, very tiny grabber. Very useful to have. This was for like logic analyzer pods. But there's another version. This one. I got both. It's the hook. And yeah. They have this. On these, it is larger. So you can just take a normal DuPont connector wire and hook it straight into that. And Bob's your uncle. So we're going to use this as a jumper from battery to connector that we can grab onto on both ends. And then we'll use some tape or something to temporarily secure our battery into place. Probably just that or a rubber band even. We'll probably put it right onto this capacitor as a handy thing to hook onto, or maybe right here. You just want it to not move around and not possibly detach while you have this upside down and you're desoldering your old battery. That's all. Once you have that in place, once you have it secured, you want to make sure move slowly and gently. The quality of the connection you make at that point, once you've desoldered your battery, is the lifeline for your cal data. Unless you can figure out what I couldn't find on EEVblog, and you can find instructions for how to back up that calibration data by GPIB. All right, so let's quick check something. So we're going to do a continuity check on these connectors and just make sure that we have good connectivity. I want to know that okay, a little jiggling doesn't make it fall off, doesn't make it come out of the housing, and yeah, we have continuity. So that's one. Now let's check our other one. Well, they're going to go on legs that are much thinner around. They're not going to snap off the little resistor lead. But yeah, I just wanted to make sure that we had continuity and that this wouldn't jiggle off easily. So we're good there. Now we can prep Red for positive, so hook on there. Black for negative. Hook on there. And careful. We'll quick double check and make sure we have 3 volts. Alright, we do have the correct path to 3 volts. Our polarity and marking is correct, red and black. This is basically the electronics equivalent of measure twice, cut once. Oh, and if you are servicing one of these, and if you're watching this video, there's a reasonable chance you're watching it for just reference on this. Do yourself a favor. There's a lot of 3 or 3.2 volt batteries out there you can get. Get the ones that already have leads on them. They were 60 cents extra a piece. Save yourself from having to solder or spot weld onto the battery. Oh, Okay, these are nicely individually sealed. There we go, just dumping little plastic bits onto the board. Nice. All right. So yeah, you're able to get just the batteries, but for an extra 60 cents, you can get the ones that have these properly oriented, properly spaced terminals, already spot welded professionally. 60 cents. Make your life easier. And by using an extra battery, well, check the battery first. We have 3.358 volts. Okay, so good battery. Now, you are going to have more voltage in this than that battery, but it's going to be by like 300 millivolts, and these do not have high amperage discharge capacity. That's not what they're meant for. So I am not overly concerned about this being connected and reversing 300 millivolts into that for the span of a minute. It's not bad practice, though, to take a minute, set up how you want to have this connected, how you want to have it secured in place, like with double-sided tape or whatever, ahead of time, and just prep everything so that connecting the leads is the last thing you do before flipping it over. And that's what we're going to do. So, if we're using this as our temporary voltage source, we'll need to open up another battery. First, though, let's get a little bit of insulation on this. I have Kapton tape, but it doesn't need to be perfect, and it's temporary because we're just putting it in place for a second and then taking it off. So let's use a Ranger band. Oh, pause for a sec. Okay, so I have some Ranger bands, basically just thick heavy-duty rubber bands. Let's put it over like that. Where we're going to put it is we're just going to take some double-sided tape and we're going to stick it right here. Hey, kitty. 3M double-sided tape. 3M is great. And just a little extra. There. All right. There, that's better. Okay. So we'll open up another one of these batteries. This is why buying multiples of the parts you're ordering can be helpful. I mean, I didn't buy it with this purpose in mind. I bought them because I wanted to be able to do this specific repair again. But, hey, useful. We will test the voltage on this battery as well, since this is the one we'll be soldering in. 3.37. Now, this is originally meant for a 3-volt battery, like 3-volt flat. These are fine. I've seen other serviced units that had like 3.4-volt batteries put in there as replacements. They operated fine. They had their cal data intact. So there's enough tolerance that if you put something in that's using a chemistry that gives 3.3 or 3.4 volts, it's fine. Okay. So we have our solder. Let's power on the soldering iron. Get that on standby. Let's get this out of the way. Let's get our vacuum hose prepped. Hey, kitty. You come to say hello? This is Roxy. She's the other kitty. She is not as soft. She's super derpy. Say hello. Alright, you're getting kicked out for soldering. Out you go. Floofy, you too. Yeah, he is so pretty. He's our ridiculously photogenic cat. Hey, Floofy. I gotta kick you out for a little bit. I'm sorry. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Thank you. Did you find a bug? Yeah. Okay. Safety first. And now that we have everything prepped, I don't actually see the markings. That was smart of me. So because I very intelligently covered up what side is what, okay, this side is positive. It would not help your calibration values to hook that up backwards. I don't know that it would actually fry anything, but it would not be good for anything, certainly. Let's see what we can do to keep this in place. Yeah, that's exactly what we don't want happening. I guess I don't need that impairing my vision just yet. Okay. So I have that kind of wedged into place, so it's sitting off the bottom. It's not going to easily come apart. It is 2:45 in the morning. Let's do one last idiot check. Let's connect, or take a look at the terminals I'm at. Red is positive, black is negative. I do have that correct. This is going to be positive. That's positive. Okay. Let's loop this through here. Okay, we have backup power connected. So now we're slightly on the clock, not by a huge amount. But we do want to, at this point, get this removed. So I have my desoldering iron warming up. We'll move this over here. And get a little bit closer, as this is, yeah, about right there. That's where we're desoldering. No need to bridge any traces. All right. So let's go ahead and get a little bit of new solder in there. Did not take much. So this one desoldered completely. This one is a little stubborn. We'll use the same trick we did before. We'll add a little bit more fresh solder and then desolder again. Okay, they are mostly popped out. We'll flip it back over. I'm not sure how well my voice comes across when the fume extractor is going. Kind of find out about that in post. And let's see if we can wiggle our battery out without disconnecting that. It would kind of defeat the purpose if we wiggled our backup. Okay, this side is good. And let's not rush. I don't want to come in from the other side. We have one lead disconnected. That other one is still pretty stuck on there. So we're going to have to do a little bit more. And this is where fine tip solder fine tip soldering cartridges can help. Well, maybe not in this case. I guess we wet it again. Let's not short things. So we'll try wetting and vacuuming one more time. time we got it. Okay, so the trick that worked here was wetting it again, putting the side, so more surface area of the soldering iron to get it liquid, and then, because the tip of that is a very fine needle tip, poking it down through, and I heard the lead fall through, and the battery is now just laying on the bench. So let's gently lift this up. There's our battery. So there we go. Now the board has its own very helpful markings. So it's positive to positive. And we want to get that secured in place. This might work. Doing this makes your life easier. Just folding little tabs so you can easily peel it away. All right. So we're going to use a spudger to kind of contour our tape down pretty far. And then we'll flip it over and we'll take a look and see if the leads are staying stuck out. We'll move it gently. And yeah, I see leads. How can we make that better? Alright, so right now I have my finger touching the battery on the other side. So once I wet this, I'm going to push it up, and this is the lead that's moving more, so I'll do this one first. So we will go ahead and get this moved over. Safety on. And since we have pre-made leads on the battery, we don't have to worry as much about minimum time for solder. There we go. Okay, this one looks alright, this one doesn't. So we're going to get a foam swab. And some 99.9% isopropyl. That should be plenty cool enough. And we'll do a little cleanup. Yeah, this solder joint doesn't look ideal. See if I can bring you in so you can see what I'm seeing. So the positive is fine. Negative looks kind of like a non-fully bonded to the pad blob. And I want to make sure it has good connectivity. So I'll clean off the excess flux until I get as much as I can. And then we'll re-wet it one more time. No reason to leave it anything less than clean. Okay. And then you can tell by the burned flux coloration getting less and less on your swabs. It's an easy way to gauge how much you got out, how much is left each time you clean. Let's close this up. Take it a little further away from the heat source. Safety on. Air on. Okay. I may just have to accept that. I think it might just be a case of me having added a bit too much solder. All right. So now what we're going to do is flip it over. Yeah, it's a little bit tilted, but actually we can probe the other side of that. All right. Did we... All right, now we go safety off. We unhook this. And whichever way is easiest to hook back on quickly if need be. Okay, we're good. We have voltage. So, yeah, we'll go to our contact points. Positive is there, negative is there. We are seeing voltage out of the traces, not directly from the battery. So we have our battery properly connected. And we maintain connection during the holding. Now, we want to label this. How fine a point do I have? That's kind of worn down. Alright, I probably should have done this before I put it on, but oh well. Okay. And this is a pretty much just as important part. July 2025. So that everyone in the future who can't rely on the voltage because of the battery chemistry knows when it was installed and how fresh it is. So, we've covered reefa cap removal. I haven't soldered in the new caps yet, actually. But that's not really as informative as the position and removal of the bad caps. Yeah. I'll get the new caps in. We'll boot her up, and we'll see how accurate she is. I'm going to call that end of part 2.